All right.
Hello.
What's up, everybody? Hey, this is Tequila Joe, and blessed be, and welcome to the first episode of The Witch's Craft. Um, I am here with Gwen, our
Hello.
absolutely wonderful person who actually came up with this idea, and the one who runs the absolutely amazing Avalon Visions over in. You want to tell us where you are?
SoCal, California. Not
Perfect.
SoCal, SoCal, SOQUEL. I'm gonna let people know. Yeah.
All right, so just to give you guys a little bit of an introduction into who we are and how this came about. So, as I said, I'm Tequila Joe. I have been a practitioner for a number of years. Just been kind of an eclectic kitchen witch slash sea witch slash hedge witch, just kind of practicing my own and just coming across different ways of practicing, different ideas, different views, different um, methods, backgrounds, all of that, and it's been amazing. I'm still with it. My specialty is in sigil making and also wand building, tool designs, that kind of thing. Um, and that's actually kind of how I came about meeting with Gwen and dropping by Evelyn Visions. So, Gwen, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how this actually came about?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been at this a while as far as how long I've been sort of a practitioner. And so I own Avalon Visions. I kind of fell into that in a sort of a strange way. I wanted a store and I wanted to be able to do what I do and I read auras and not have to travel around to do it. And so we've been toying with this idea for a while. I think we kind of covered that last week a little bit. And I kind of feel that overall, I'm more of a creative spiritualist rather. I feel like that I'm a bit of a hedge witch. I do some deep practices, but I think like a lot of people, like I engage in activities along the lines of talking to pets and crystals and talking to my plants. When I cook with healing intent. I use herbs, etc. I love creating vision boards and writing down things that I want for relationships, just to help me focus on things. I like to, when I can, decorate my home to make it energetically more of a personal expression. And I have a personal belief system that combines elements from various religions, including, different belief systems. Unlike a lot of people, I don't find mainstream religions particularly fulfilling. I I kind of have my own blend of spirituality and my own path. I borrow a little from here, borrow a little from there. But for me, magic is just sort of part of who I am. It's a force that empowers all of us. And I feel like if you can understand and utilize it, and and you kind of you wind up with a much greater sort of self empowerment than something that is limiting. And so I also have a very strong political views, and I feel that the as practitioners we need to really, we take responsibility. We try to harm none, and so it's very important that we advocate for the rights of others who also share those views or may be harmed by current trends. And so I that's sort of where I'm coming from, and I felt that in this day and age, we needed to very much get a platform together where we could express ourselves in a more open way. And I couldn't think of a better person to work with than Joe. So that's kind of who I am. And when
Well,
we talked about this early on, and Joe's going to be teaching some classes here at the center. So
right. Well, just wanted to kind of ask. So these views and your practices. I mean, is this idea for the podcast, is this kind of stemming or also like um, an expansion of the classes that you were holding over at Evelyn Missions? I mean, I know I was there for a few of them. We were doing Newman circles, um, drum circles, kind of thing. We were doing a lot of that, quite a bit,
and,
quite some
and then
time ago. It seems like. So,
and then we all backed off because COVID hit. But yeah,
yeah, exactly.
it's like
So
everything stopped, So
yeah, so would you say this is like an expansion of that or an extension of that?
I would say that it's definitely more of an expansion on that. I feel like
Mhm.
if it was just classes, we could just have classes. But I feel like having a platform to kind of at least talk about what classes we're having and also what it is that you might be studying. I mean, I feel like that is a highly important way of communicating what we do, and you'll be teaching some classes when you get back over this direction, and we do have some circles. Actually, right now we've got a qigong class just starting up for Wednesdays in the afternoons. So
Oh, nice.
I know it's like I should go to that. I need to go to that. Anyway, you can make an argument for that, really participating in that one. But so, but it's all of these different modalities. They share like some threads of being in community with each other, and so yeah, it's an expansion on that. But what I think we're doing is just broadening the community a bit, and also we will be talking obviously about getting our voices to be heard.
Yeah. And with that, I kind of want to look at the agenda that we have for like the coming weeks. Things that we want to talk about, discuss. Particularly because I've seen that it's been the question's kind of been raised. It's like, okay, well, with the way things are going, how soon is it going to be before administrations or certain groups start looking over in our direction as pagans, and how can we actually prepare for that? So we have actually developed a kind of an agenda for the coming weeks. Number one being like the religion and politics. How is that actually like really come into play? I mean, it's been into play before, but not seemingly not as much as it is now. So, I mean, as we all know, uh, the unfortunate the unfortunate times that we call the burning times, the past persecution of pagans within the U.S. alone,
Okay.
that's been pretty back. So, I mean, uh, we could go into the history of it and see, even since then, how it's been still kind of lingering, kind of hovering over our heads. It's like, uh, you know, which I mean, that's why we have quite a few newcomers that are still quote unquote in the broom closet. They're
Mhm.
they're afraid to come out. They're afraid to come out to their families. They're afraid to come out to their communities. So, um, I know you have some particular thoughts on that, like the religion and politics, and I mean stuff like Project 2025 that's now even like coming into effect as uh, you know hopefully not as law, but it's there. So what's your take on that? Because I know that's kind of a jumping off point when we started this.
It is kind of very scary because it is my understanding from following very closely following the news now. And I want to backtrack for just a second. My dad taught political science for decades at De Anza, and I grew up around it. And so to me, it's like I'm now seeing there's a document that basically is the blueprint and is basically being ticked off one line item at a time through his actions, and we know who we're talking about, courtroom actions.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So do that again, Maria. So it's being ticked off. It's like line item at a time. We're going in that direction. And
Yeah.
at the end of it, they don't really particularly like pagans. And it doesn't matter if you're a mild-mannered pagan. They're probably already don't like me, you know. I mean, I'm selling this stuff, you know. So to me, knowing that my rights could be stripped from me is not a very pleasant, you know, thought. And Project 2025 is a real document. It was made by a very, very conservative MAGA, ultra MAGA group, and it's now it's now happening. And if you don't have to follow me to do that, you can take a look at Midas Touch. You can just Google it and see how many people have it. I decided that I would download a copy of it because I didn't want it to not be available to me at some later date to say that, well, we didn't do it, you did it. Oh no, I've got a copy of it. And if somebody wants to mention in the comments, can you send me a copy of that? I will take that PDF and send it to you directly, but you have to tell me you want it. So, you know, that's just one thing. Like, I have a copy. I made sure I had a copy. It's basically what it wants us to do is be a Christian nationalist country where it's just Christianity. And inherently, I want to say to people that are Christian, if you are Christian, you know, right up there with love thy neighbor is like love thy neighbor and all those commandments that you're supposed to follow. The guy that is at the top is not following those. So, you know, I have no problem with true Christians because they wouldn't follow Trump either. Right. So
It's funny how that's, you know, that's the kind of the rule, like love thy neighbor, but also there's that the fine print, but don't love their practice. Love them, respect them, but
I
don't let
saw
them
this
do what
morning.
don't let them believe what they believe. That's kind of, you know.
Yeah, you know, you better not believe anything.
Yeah.
I saw this morning where they had deported an Iranian woman who had been here for 50 years, and she's in her 70s, and had really applied multiple times for citizenship and was legally here, had a daughter who was in her almost 30, you know, like 20 something, and a husband, American husband. You know, I mean, no hearing, they just came and got her. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing that a dictatorship does. And if they can do it to someone who's in her 70s gardening in her yard, picking figs or something along those lines, maybe it was lemons, I think it was figs. I mean, realistically, they could do it to you and they can do it to me. And, you know, hey.
Which is kind of which kind of leads to the idea, and that's like another item that we had, which is like conflict and persecution, and how can we prepare for like what's next. I mean, of course, as humans, we are hopefully looking out for each other. Sometimes it's really difficult, but I mean, as far as pagans, we also kind of need to look for each other as well. So, you know, I'm hoping we can kind of bring a lot of things to light in that discussion as far as what we can do to prepare for what's next. And then also talking about different communities. You know, we also within our community, we also have people that are in another subculture, and that's like the queer community. And I mean, there's talk about their way of life, which of course we are major supporters. And but there's still so much out there, and we've seen it especially during this month, the Pride Month, where their lifestyle is still considered like a category of like deviant practices. So I also want to kind of work on a discussion about how we can help them. What are we doing for them as far as providing a haven, providing a an outlet for them to be who they are, and also to kind of be inspired by our own practices, even if it's just cleansing, meditation, that kind of thing. But also be very active. So, what's what are your feelings on that one?
Well, one thing I did this year, and I'm not going to take it down tomorrow or the next day when June ends, is
Hmm.
I got a rainbow open flag. It's a little like windsock that
Hmm.
says open on it, and it's a rainbow. It's not that every one of our customers is perhaps not straight, but
Hmm.
the point is, I don't care if any one of our customers is not straight, is the queer LGBTQ. To me, it doesn't matter. I want them to be able to come into the store and feel like they're safe. I've had at least one employee who was in a transition state, and
Hmm.
very good employee. I had one employee for about 10 years, literally, who started before we moved, stayed through the move, and then is now working as in elsewhere, having graduated from college and all that. But my I want people to come in here and feel safe. And it's not about pronouns. It's like not all of us who have known someone for 30 years is going to be able to say she or he. Well, if we try, we'll do our best because we
Hmm.
want them. We want them to be they're our family, they're our friends. So
Yeah.
I put on my desk a little bowl of rainbow safety pins. And it is not lost on me that decades ago, Jesse Jackson started the Rainbow Coalition. I don't think he thought that would apply to LGBTQ at the time because I don't think that had been, adopted yet. And I know there's an extra stripe on the flag, but I don't know what that is. But the idea is if somebody doesn't carry the same energetics, they're dancing to a slightly different drummer. That does not
Mhm.
mean they should be persecuted.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
just because you're uncomfortable with somebody, that's fine. Remove yourself from the situation. If you're not comfortable with people that don't look like you, don't act like you, don't share your same desire for sexuality, okay, fine. Just don't be in the room with them. And,
Yeah.
time and time again, the people that are actually repressed are the
Mhm.
ones doing the things that they're accusing the community that isn't repressed of doing that it isn't doing. How many right-wing ministers have been arrested for what? So
Exactly.
quite a few, and it's not, I would venture to guess, as common in us left-wing communities because guess what? We're not repressed. We're dealing with who we are. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love the fact that you mentioned an employee, but also going back to what we used to do, the activities that we had there at Avalon Missions. We had quite a few LGBTQ people leading it, first of all, and
Yeah,
just coming in, participating, and it was amazing. It was absolutely, it was fun. It was immersive. It was just
oh,
uh, a
definitely.
game changer. Game changing. I mean, I knew I left those activities feeling like, wow, just
That's
completely renewed,
awesome.
completely refreshed. So yeah,
That makes me
it
happy.
was great.
Yeah.
That all right. So um, so yeah, hopefully at some point we can actually kind of get back into that and just kind of bring it back around and it really really is a wonderful time doing that kind of thing. So
I
um,
I mean, I
but
I definitely I definitely feel that having open groups that are open
mhm,
for everybody is very important and not just for an elite. I mean, there will be private groups at a shop.
mhm,
We've had a few where it's just very limited, 3 or 4 people, and they're doing their thing, and it's, but that's okay too. But if it's going to be a public group, I'm not going to kick somebody out because they don't look like me. Nah.
No. And on that note, please, if I haven't said it already, but please do not adjust your screens. I really am this brown. Okay. So.
And yeah, I'm like this. I'm this white. It's funny. I always thought I had a little Native American in me because of certain family rumors and all that. And I did my DNA just because I wanted to know that and other things. And nope. But that's okay because I have a lot of Celtic, and we were an oppressed people too. But we could make some rich. There's always an oppressor and someone who is oppressed. And the thing here is to be neither the oppressor nor the oppressed, and to hold a space that's in the middle that holds everybody in an equal place.
And with that respect, I mean, to go into like what we're going to be doing in said space. I mean, it's not all. So the podcast is not going to be all political. We promise. It's going to be fun. So we're going to have like so many different topics, so many things that we're going to be going into as far as like the actual spiritual practice. We can do some meditations. We can do some discussions on crystals. So Gwen, you kind of had quite the list on that. So you want to tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be doing as far as the actual spiritual side?
So looking for on the actual spiritual side, we're going to talk about. Let me actually get into my little sort of okay. So if you talk to pets and they talk back to you, that's spiritual.
Yeah.
If you talk to crystals and they talk back to you, that's spiritual. Talk to plants. Well, and we can measure that they actually listen and get your vibe. Apparently, vegetarians can make a head of lettuce shake. Just saying, y'all.
When they start talking back, then it's a problem. But
I did see the Attack of the Triffids, which I would see.
There you
go. Which I would see again. If you've ever made a vision board, I think I mentioned that a little earlier. That is a wonderful way to focus. And we have a lady that comes in. She's a great artist, Elizabeth, that she comes in and she does vision board workshops, and they're fun. And I've made some vision board, which I really I realized at the end of the year, I had managed to actually achieve most of what was on that vision board, which I felt was wonderful. And I still have that one. I don't know what I did with the last one that I made, but I think I did something with it. If you've ever written down what you wanted and in a future person and focused on it, and that has worked for a few people. Some people I know have done that sort of thing and gotten married from it. Literally gone all the way. Okay, this is it. If you feel the urge to decorate your home to improve the energy, okay, you're working with energy. Woohoo! That could be called witchcraft. Have you ever gone to a reader or a healer? And they're not a doctor, but you know what? There are some cultures that's also considered magic, right? If you don't understand it, okay. If you own a tarot deck or even an oracle deck, you're looking for answers from spirit. It's allowing your head to be in a clear space. That's spirit. Do you pick out your clothes that uniquely represent you? Or are you wearing a uniform? Oh, wait, that does represent you too, doesn't it? So here's a unique little thing. I've done thousands of auras, literally. I've taken thousands of auras photos with a camera that's always consistent. I can tell you how many people like the color of their aura enough to put it on before sitting down at a camera. Now, a bright red aura, you might be in a black because it's a little too bright for everybody else, but you probably like the color red. Yeah. And that's true with purples. People that love purple can be on, a lot of them are purple. So, unique, you're working with your energy, whether you know it or not. Do you spend time in nature, pondering the depths of the wondrous universe that we live in? Well, that could be considered a little witchy. Okay, and if you dance naked in the woods too, I don't want to know about it, but we can all get it. There's too
There,
many
there are
mosquitoes.
there are places for that, just so we know.
I mean, I know people have done that.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
when I go out and I go to do like a group late at night, my husband, "Are you dancing naked in the woods?" And I usually say no, but I think I'm going to start saying, "Yeah, it was awesome," and see what his result was. He probably knows I wouldn't do that, but because it's cold and you can't unsee the things you see. Uh, so probably not. Basically, all these things are practices that are magical if you let them be magical. When you're cooking, I mean, you're a chef, you know this. If you're
Mhm.
cooking with intent and you're focusing on making somebody feel better, that food is going to be so much nicer. I think
Mhm.
it was Masaru Emoto that talked about the patterns of snowflakes and had the monks meditate over them. So again, it changed the structure. I I can't remember the crystal. There was a deck. It was actually a tarot oracle deck made from Masaru Emoto's studies. So you can have something that is provable by science, but it's no less magical. So a lot of what I do is provide tools for people and a little bit of training, hopefully. But
Right.
those are things I'd like to talk about more. At some point, I want to maybe focus on aura and chakra energy and dispel of some of the myths. That's a subject I probably want to go through as time goes on. But yeah,
All
so
right. And so, I mean, talking about the, uh, cooking with intention, um, talking about the different unique um, properties of ingredients, the origins of like traditional witchcraft and cooking, what can help, what can hurt, that kind of thing. We do kind of want to make a class out of that one. Right now, it's kind of just called Witches in Kitchens. So no, we'll play around with that. We'll let you guys know what exactly it's going to be called, and what we'll be discussing.
okay.
Um, Also, we're going to do a little more. Um, oh, shall we say, kind of an adult version of that, called Spirits and Spirits.
Ooh,
In
the
that
alcohol.
case, yep, in that case, we're going to take a journey into like the magical characteristics of alcohol from herb origins and properties to potency through aging. I mean, everything comes through fermentation. How does each property kind of blend in? What does it actually help to create? And we'll look at the explorations of what mixer combinations can go in there. And so, how once again, how are we going to elevate those intentions? Um, so yeah, we'll do fun stuff like that. You also mentioned, talking to your pets, talking to your plants. There is already a course in the works that we're going to call Tooth and Claw, Fin and Feather, and that'll be a discussion on the topic of familiars. I mean, for the longest time, it's always been that kind of stigma that there's always a black cat holding a witch, or there's a crow, a raven. Um, Personally, yes, I do have a little demon gargoyle child cat, which is somewhere around the house. I don't know where she is right now, but yeah, she's agreed to be my familiar. Some people have bearded dragons, some people have snakes, people have uh, raccoons, fish, that kind of thing. So we'll go into the discussion on how to work with them. Um, and I know there's always like that question, like, well, I've got this animal following me around. Can they be familiar? Yes and no. I mean, it all depends on the nature of the relationship. Um, so we do stuff like that. Talk about familiars. And then we're going to go deep into the darker side. Um, I personally would love to do the witches and the paranormal discussion. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that will be fun.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully by then we can have at least a couple of our viewers kind of chiming in. Maybe they can tell us some of their ghost stories or stories of encounters. Um, but I also want to go into uh, the topics of like grounding and protecting house and home, protecting yourself. Um, and then, of course, there's discussions on where we have been, what the traditions were before versus like what they are now. And in a little bit, I'll kind of go into some questions that have been brought by people who are we baby Seamus witches. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Um, but yeah, we kind of want to look at what happens when people step out of it. People step out of the craft. Maybe they find religion, Christianity, but then they end up coming back. Where's the gray area? Where's that middle ground? That's where you get things like Santeria, that kind of practice where it's like it's a little bit of both. So we'll talk about that as well. Um, then we have a full on discussion on the legend of La Llorona. That is a talk that was previously given at the last PantheaCon, and it's not really been available. So I would actually like to make it available. Um, and that's called La Llorona, Justice for the Weeping Woman, and that's kind of a discussion on what the icon actually is. And I mean, she's very, very prevalent in the Mexican culture. She is portrayed as this spirit, this legend, this piece of folklore that's always around the river, always crying for her children. She's always been married to a rich man who betrayed her, who did all this really, really negative stuff. But there's never been, as far as I knew, there had never been any kind of real deep exploration as to where the legend came from and who the real people were that were actually attached to the legend. And through research, I was able to kind of come up with uh, some groundwork for further research. Uh, but it was uh, still pretty intense, still very heavily immersed in like the social aspects, um, of the time. Uh, I don't want to give too much, but of the time when the actual legend first emerged. So that'll be an interesting thing. That'll be both spiritual and also in the flavor of speaking for justice for women, for all women. So there'll be that one. That'll be a major one. And then
Did that really well at PantheaCon too. That was a really good talk. I went to that talk at PantheaCon that you gave.
well, yeah, I tried to do the best that I could um like I said, such an icon. That's always been just kind of like that. She's always been in the background. She's always been, hiding in the alleyways of like the Mexican neighborhoods. So uh, because that's like the most iconic spirit that we have, that's why I wanted to do something that would actually bring more light and have her be better understood as as more of an icon than just a local legend or a spirit, just another ghost story from the Mexican culture. Um, so the other I think the other topic that we have for the coming weeks is discussion on boundaries and gray areas and like practices and rituals. And that's where we kind of get into the question for, like I said, the wee baby Seamus witches. Like, am I doing this right? What resources do I have to make sure that I'm doing this correctly? And I mean, a lot of them go to the internet, and the question is like, how viable is the information that's there? I mean, if you go to search for something through Google, you're going to get your top searches, but a lot of times those are paid for. So that doesn't really guarantee that the information that you're given is going to be like particularly safe for the community, for the environment, or even the person that's actually trying to work their first spells. Um, so I mean, now we even have AI that's like generating all these responses, and I mean that's sometimes it can be reliable, sometimes it can't. And I mean it's different when you have that generic source versus like personal guidance. Um, but then, like even when you have that personal guidance, you have two different perspectives, which usually come up, and I've seen them personally. Uh, there's practices or people that have a practice to say, well, this is what's worked for me. Like, go ahead and give this a try. But then there's also the people that are like, no, we're gonna do this by the book. Like you can only use this crystal, you can only use this tool, you can only say these words. And this has been passed down through this particular tradition. And this is like the only way, the only surefire way that this is gonna work. And if you're not part of our coven, you're out of luck. So
And that I
um
think is silly. But
yeah,
there are
exactly.
instances where doing something by the book is maybe a better idea than just, you know,
True. And so like um that's a huge concept for discussion. uh, Looking at the source of the information. If you're having a personal guide versus like something that's like just generic. You um,
I want to
then
add
you
in
have like,
an off
sure.
top, a slight little
Oh
thing.
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah.
You're a chef and you're going to get this.
Mhm,
Decades ago, I had a friend of mine. We went to a party and she made cioppino or
mhm,
soup, and she doubled the recipe and she doubled the spice.
mhm,
Okay, people were sweating and steaming. So there is a call for following a recipe and but also using your intellect to like go and like
mhm.
this is really spicy, taste it as you're going along. It may not be, so there's always room to adjust things, but not necessarily, you know, but you do need to know enough about it that you don't cause anybody that's brave enough to eat the soup to break out
Mhm.
into a sweat, so to speak. Does that
Right.
make sense? That just I'm your
Okay.
chef. You know what I
I mean
mean.
that's where you get the concept of like personal narrative. Like, okay, this is worked for me, versus like overconfidence and arrogance.
Mhm.
Then you're like,
There you go.
okay, well, I'm going to double this up, and I know it's going to work. That's exactly how it's going to be. And but then you have that result if you don't hold back just a little bit and just kind of test the waters, then you're gonna get that result. It's not always going to be positive. So yeah, I mean, you have personal narrative versus overconfidence. So and often that definitely does happen in the kitchen. That certainly
Yeah,
does
it
happen.
does.
Certainly does happen in magic as well. So I mean, it's magic is always changing and evolving, and so are recipes. But it all depends on the person and how they're approaching it. You know, and that kind of draws a question like, okay, who do you really want to learn from? The one who's cautious, or the one who's like absolutely 100% overconfident that theirs is the only way? You know, so I mean that's where it kind of that's where it kind of gets really murky, I think, especially like in the magical practice. Um, so I mean that sometimes creates doubt in the young learner's mind, you know. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what we have coming up for the coming week.
That's
Um,
and then the other thing I think we were going to talk about too a little bit coming up is what's like a little bit about, you know, everybody's favorite topic coming up. Probably do this one maybe near Halloween, I would think. Generational curses versus practices and how, you know, one affects the
right.
other.
Mhm.
And you were talking about the brilliant Marvel show and Agatha all along, I think is what I was,
Yes.
you know, but there's
We'll
fact
get a
versus
little nerdy.
fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so a lot of what a lot of what we're going to be discussing, and we're going to boil it down to much more of a distinct subject matter over the next weeks, and we'll come up with more, obviously, will be more of an in-depth dive into individual topics versus what we're doing tonight, which is this light brush on all the things that we have planned because we want you to come back
Mhm.
and watch those, right? Um,
Right.
I do think it's worthy to note that anything that you do, it's the one of the key things of success versus failure is to think of things in a positive way and put a little light on the things that are negative, because if you're out there really going like I'm going to learn, I'm going to do this and I'm going to hurt somebody over there, it's going to come back at you. So kids, don't do that, you know. But
Mhm.
you know, what we want to do is we want to make sure that your learning is in a positive, happy space and that you feel safe doing it, which is why we're here. But also,
Mhm.
going back to the politics thing, we do and we are going to in every show weave in a tiny little bit about, you know, hey, these are protests that are coming up in your area. If you're, you know, this is where to, you know, find things, and also I may throw in, you know, late like some of the judgments of what's happening in the courts, because this is the best way to attack things. So I may talk about that. Like today, we won a battle and then lost at the Supreme Court. So birthright citizen, not a thing anymore. Um, so you know, so a lot of important things are happening, but we want you to be educated about what magic is, and also about what your, you know, some of your current rights that are at stake, so that you get a full picture of who most practitioners are like, because Joe and I, we're really quite typical in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. I happen to be a little more obvious because I own a metaphysical bookstore, but they're chefs. There's, you know, all there. These we're your neighbors, we're your friends. We're quietly doing things, not necessarily publicly. You don't
Mhm.
know, but we're all over the place, and we're
Oh,
nice
we are.
people. We care about what happens to you, and we care about what happens. We're not worshiping a little horn god out in the woods trying to make people get sick. This is not what we are.
I mean,
So
we know those guys. We know those guys, but that's not us. So
yeah, and I
yeah,
have met a few people that did the
yeah,
wink wink and the
mhm,
nod, and I went, yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, no, actually I don't like, I'm not a Church of Satan person, folks. You know, like, no, you do your thing, you do you, and don't involve me in that, because that's not me. You know, no more than I'm also not a Baptist, not trying to go out and be a Baptist minister. So, you know, you do
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
So I
Uh,
want to make a note of that, you know, and I'm probably not going to revisit that exact thing every group, but you know, so
well, we do actually. Since you brought that up, and you know, the concept of, you know, who we are versus who they are, and you know, the concept of like, you know, conversions and all that. Um, we really do want all of you guys to participate in discussions, but we want to make sure that those discussions are kept respectful. You
mhm,
know, Everybody has a different practice. Everybody has a different approach, and we respect all of that. We're only asking that you guys remember to respect each other when it comes to those discussions, and you can drop those discussions in the chat. You can certainly, give us questions, give us more things that you would like us to go over. Um, but as long as we can do that respectfully, I mean, as you already know, we are of minds of like everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter who you are, what you consider yourself. Um, it's just a matter of really enacting that uh, guideline of actually loving the neighbor. It's like, okay, let's all be respectful and give each and every one a turn. Everybody has a voice, so that's definitely something we want to hold everybody to when it comes to discussions. But yeah, hopefully you guys can uh, you know come up with any kind of discussions that you want us to look at, any kind of topics. If you want to participate in one of our podcasts as a guest, we absolutely encourage that too. Um, and let's see, Gwen, you want to go into how else they can interact with us?
Um, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have this go out to the Facebook Witches Craft group, a page. We're not doing a group; we're doing it on a page, um, and we're also going to be putting it. I think if all goes well and as planned, and I'm not super great with streaming software, folks.
Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah.
We have the Witches Craft on meetup.com, and I'm probably going to start using it as a forum again, because even though I quite a while ago said, hey, this group isn't taking place, I still get people signing up for it, because a lot of people, and it's been literally inactive for 3 years until recently, like this month. So there is people really seeking out this kind of guidance, and it keeps coming. So I'm gonna breathe the magic air back into it and put up some announcements on that, or try, and I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try to put a link in there so that people can participate, or at least watch when we're doing this, and write comments. And we're very new at the StreamYard thing, so hopefully we'll be able to get it so that it goes live off into the Facebook page as well. Although I was unable to do that today. As far as I know, it's not going up live, but it will be live on our YouTube channel, and you can definitely watch us live. So
it's all going to be a work in progress. Yeah, it's all a work in progress, and we'll get there. So yeah,
we're going to get there, and we're going to try to. This video will be up on our YouTube channel, and also, now I'm remembering the rest of it. Give me a few minutes and my brain might work. Maybe. We have a website. It's thewitchescraft.com. So WITCHES. Oh, let me say that again. The THEWITCHES.com. All one word, thewitchescraft.com. And that will have episodes of this, hopefully immediately up on it. So we're going to link to that. We should have all the back videos on that too, just in case YouTube stops it. And then, not that I think YouTube would, but in case something happens, they'll be there. We have a link on the Avalon Vision page to thewitchescraft.com. And it's not really searchable just yet, because we haven't got it up to the search engine, so you actually have to type it in exactly, or you will not get there. These things happen, so you must actually type it in correctly. And then we have obviously the YouTube channel, which is the Witch's Craft on YouTube, and that means if you've already clicked on this, you've already found that, so you're one step in at least. And then also sponsoring this is Avalon Visions, obviously, and also our online product page, which is avalonvisionsproducts.com, and that is a shopping channel. So you can get all the tools, or at least most of them, that we've been talking about there if you're not in the SoCal area and you need to go shopping. And it's a nice little alternative to Amazon and Temu, which, you can get stuff on those places, but you won't be directly supporting the community. And what I mean by directly supporting the community is we have a food cupboard on the outside of this building that is open 24 hours a day for people that need food. We are always available at the counter to ask, have a few questions asked of us. So we try to support community that isn't even our little community here, but we also have our practitioners and so on. So when you support that, you support all of this. Could I do this from home? Probably. Would I enjoy it as much? No, probably not, because you'd hear a parrot screaming in the background talk about feelings. Yes, I have 2 parrots, and they are loud. And I have cats too. They're not as loud. Even caterwauling at full tilt, they're not as loud. But anyway. So those are our things. And as Joe was talking about earlier, or was that just you and me talking about that? We're talking about the stone of the day.
Yeah, I was actually going to go ahead and bring that up. So each episode that we're going to have is going to close off with a stone of the week, and Gwen will actually explain. So each week we'll have a different stone. We'll explain the different properties of it. How it can be used in ritual, that kind of thing. And so I think we had one in mind for today. So let's go ahead and start that tradition. If you're ready, Gwen, what have we got for us today?
I am. It's Blue Tiger's Eye, and I'm going to see if I can. I don't know if I can actually pull up a picture of Blue Tiger's Eye. Come think of it, I went to load that up. But Blue Tiger's Eye is a like the orange striped tiger's eye. It's not kind of a brownish color, but the difference with tiger's eye and blue tiger's eye is that it has a little more like hematite in it. And I am going to give it a shot and see if I can put a picture up on it. And I might have to just see if I can actually pull a picture of the blue tiger's eye. And if I hit images, and I might be able to actually copy this and paste it. Ooh, those are pretty. Wow, I found some very pretty pictures of blue tiger's eye. Let me see if I can copy image. And let me see if I save this to a pictures file. If I can very quickly put it up. I knew there was something I was forgetting, Joe. I knew there was something I was forgetting. That was, right. I am going to do that. Here we go. So here we go. Home, crop, file, save as picture.
So what exactly, as you're doing that, it tells exactly what the properties are and how that actually can work best for you.
Well, Blue Tiger's Eye has a lot of kind of the magnetic qualities of hematite.
Okay.
And it's used as along with tiger's eye. It's used for having, for strength and for being able to. There we go. I've got this in here, and I think I can pull it up. It's something that you You can hold it. It's good for grounding, and it's also something that is. Let me see if I think I might just be able to pull this up. And it's also used in money spells. Believe it or not, there are money spells out there. And there's
there was this.
really, what was that?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say there was this pretty interesting money spell that Gwen just shared with me, and hopefully, when we start next week's episode, we'll go ahead and share that with you guys. So new moon spell,
That's Blue
pretty
Tiger's
easy. I was able to find it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah.
That's Blue Tiger's Eye. And
Okay.
those are probably, I'm not going to leave that up for very long. See, I learned how to do this the other day, didn't I, Joe? So Blue Tiger's Eye is, if you look on the bottom left hand corner, you'll see the kind of orangey stripe, which it's that looks a little bit more like tiger iron, where there's a higher iron content, and the one up to the far right in the top, that one is more of the standard color, the more kind of a brown orange. But that one right in the middle in the front, that's the traditional blue with, like that little middle aisle there. Very, very, very pretty. That's what you do to, that's actually one of my favorite stones. I have a skull like that, Joe. It's about this big. It's a long
Nice.
skull. Yeah, I'm going to remove that now. But yeah, I actually use that.
And do you have these readily available at the shop right now?
I do. The batch that I have right now is it's not as blue as that. It's pretty good, but it's not like that is like an excellent example of a very high quality Blue Tiger's Eye. The ones that I have at the shop at the moment they are blue. They have the blue streaks through them, but they're also not that much more blue than the regular tiger's eye, which is more like the colors you have on your shirt, so to speak. But
Right.
honestly, those are pretty. And I don't know if the ones that I have on my online store, and I know they're on the online store, I don't know if they're more blue or less blue, because it is the same source. So
Gotcha.
but they're definitely blue if they have more of the hematite, but those ones that I just put up are just I want to go and order those. I may have to when we're off here. I may try to get a hold of those. I just don't know if they're still out there.
Well, either way, they'll be readily available. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely have Blue Tiger's Eye at the store, and I do have it on my online too. So
perfect. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our session for today. Thank you for all you guys that actually stuck through it. Those of you guys that tuned in, we really appreciate you. Again, we hope that you guys have some comments for us, some thoughts, questions, anything that you guys have that you want us to tackle, to talk about. We'll do our best. And of course, we're going to give you that that line. Just if you can like and subscribe, that would be amazing. That would really help us out a lot, and we'll just keep on going. So let's do the best that we can for every person out there. Let's do the best that we can with love, with good intention, with just the absolute best interest of all. So thank you guys again, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
thank you. Thanks, Joe.
All right.